Distinguished colleagues, announcements. This is from the President and Commander-in-Chief. Request for approval of Federal Government 2022-2024 External Borrowing Plan. I write in reference to the above subject and to submit the attached Federal Government 2022-2024 External Borrowing Ruling Plan for consideration and early approval of the National Assembly to ensure prompt implementation of the projects. The Senate may wish to note that the past administration approved the 2022-2024 borrowing plan at the Federal Executive Council, which was held on the 15th day of May 2023. A copy is hereby attached. The projects cut across all sectors with specific emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, security and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms, amongst others. The total facility of the projects and programs under the borrowing rolling plan is United States dollars 7,864,508,559 US dollars, and then euro 100 million euros, respectively. The Senate is invited to note that following the removal of the fuel subsidy and its attendant impact on the economy in the country, African Development Bank, AFDB, and the World Bank Group, WBG, have indicated interest to assist the country in mitigating the economic shocks and recent reforms with the sum of United States dollars 1 billion and United States dollars 2 billion, respectively, in addition to the Federal Executive Council's approved 2022-2024 external borrowing plan. Consequently, the required approval is in the sum of United States dollars 7 billion 864,508,559 dollars, US dollars, and then in terms of euro, 100 million euros. I would like to underscore the fact that the projects and programs in the borrowing plan were selected based on positive technical economic evaluations, as well as the expected contribution to the socio-economic development of the country, including employment generation, skills acquisitions, supporting the emergence of more entrepreneurs, poverty reduction, and food security to improve the livelihood of an average Nigerian. The projects and programs will be implemented in all 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. In view of the present economic realities facing the country, it has become imperative that we resort to prudent external borrowing to bridge the financing gap, which should be applied to key infrastructure projects, including power, railway, health, amongst others. Given the nature of these facilities and the need to consolidate the country to normalcy, it has become exigent to request the Senate's consideration and approval of the 2022-2024 external borrowing plans to enable the government deliver its responsibilities to Nigerians through expeditious disbursements and efficient project implementation. While I hope that the Senate will consider and grant approval to this request in an expeditious manner, Please accept, distinguished senators, the Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The attachments are there. So this is referred to the Committee on Foreign Debts and in collaboration with the Committee on Finance, Foreign Debt Leading. By way of correction, Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, and as well as Committee on Finance. As observers. For the announcement. Distinguished leader, the distinguished Senator Yaya, national planning must be involved. Otherwise, the ruling plan will have no meaning. So we have added national planning to it. Thank you. Further correspondence from Mr. President. Distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, GCON, President of the Senate, Senate Chambers, confirmation of appointment of Chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. In accordance with the provisions of Section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of the underlisted 12 nominees as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Chairman, Professor Tunji Ola Opa, Dr. Dauda Ibrahim Jallo, representing Adamawa Gombe Taraba, Mr. Obong Ededet Eyoma, representing Akwa Ibom Cross River, Dr. Chamberlain Nwele, representing Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu, Rufus N. Godwin, representing Bayelsa, Delta, and Rivers, Dr. Adamu Hussein, representing the FCT and Niger States, Aminu Nabegu, representing Jigawa and Kano State, Hidatu Abdullahi, representing Kaduna and Katsina States, Shehu Aliu, representing Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara States, Odekunle Rukiyat Aduke, representing Kogi and Kwara States, Princess Sarah Adebisi Soson, representing Lagos and Ogun State, Dr. Festus Oyebade, representing Osun and Oyo State, while hoping that the Senate will consider and confirm the nominees in the usual expeditious manner, please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief. So this is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to revert to the Senate in the shortest possible time. Any oaths? Petition? Yes, Ezenwa, the leader of the gods.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Ezenwa Onyewuchi, and I represent Imo East Senatorial District of Imo State. Mr. President, I have a petition from my constituent, Mr. Owalaka Peter Ebere, a former staff of the Office of the Auditor General, over what he refers to as his unlawful, unconstitutional, and wrongful dismissal from office. He therefore seeks the intervention of this respected chamber to ensure that justice is done. He is not seeking any judicial remedy at the moment, and with your kind permission, Mr. President, I shall proceed to lay the petition before the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
You may proceed to lay. Petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition. Yes, Senator Omer.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume. I represent the people of Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I have a petition written by a law firm of George Ofort and Co. on behalf of the family of a 27-year-old Nigerian from Nnewi in Anambra State, who was killed in the Philippines, where he is pursuing a master's degree program and also doing a part-time work to help him meet ends. Unfortunately, her employer, a Chinese lady, on her orders, some Chinese nationals beat this young man to death in the Philippines. And it has aroused a lot of protest by Nigerians in the Philippines. And this petition has been brought to this Senate to enable us wade into the matter to ensure that justice is done and the 5 Chinese nationals that beat him to death, who have been arrested, should be properly tried and brought to book, while also seeking for intervention of the Nigerian government for the repatriation of his body. With your permission, Mr. President, the boy's name is Chibuikem Emmanuel Chukwuneke, 27-year-old boy pursuing master's degree program in the Philippines. With your kind permission, I would like to lay this petition here for your further directive. Thank you, Mr. President.
Please proceed. This petition is quite unfortunate, and it involves the death of a Nigerian, which we should not joke with. So the petition is referred to the Committee on Diaspora Affairs, as well as the Committee on Foreign Affairs. Both should jointly meet, investigate, take urgent steps, and revert to the Senate within 2 weeks. Any further petition? Leader of the Senate.
Of order. Point of order.
Your point of order, my sister, distinguished Senator Idiot.
Thank you, President of Senate. I rise and I come under order 41, matter of urgent public importance. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. That's one. Then two, if the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day.
Just slide summary of the matter.
To mandate schools across Nigeria to locate their creche and nursery classes on the ground floor of their high-rise buildings and implement safety protocols. It's about a toddler who fell from a high-rise building, leading to his death. And that, for me, we should try as much as possible to mitigate against that in other schools, and that's why I come under order 42, under order 41 rather.
Distinguished colleagues, our sister has come under order 41, which she had hinted me of this matter of urgent national importance. Is it the view of the Senate that she be allowed to take it on the next legislative date? So you may present it on the next legislative date. Thank you. of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Kaka Shehu Lawan on the Code of Conduct Bureau Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023, SB 148. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Code of Conduct Bureau Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023, SB 148, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Code of Conduct Bureau Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023, SB 148, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Fada Unsi Adenigba Francis on the Federal Orthopedic Hospitals Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 219. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Orthopedic Hospitals Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 219, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Orthopedic Hospitals Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 219, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo Ibrahim Hassan on the Federal University of Education Technical Gombe Establishment Bill 2023, SB 221. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Education Technical Gombe Establishment Bill 2023, SB 221, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal University of Education Technical Gombe Establishment Bill 2023, SB 221, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Alero Adamu on the Federal University Burning Kebbi Establishment Bill 2023, SB 224. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University Burning Kebbi Establishment Bill 2023, SB 224, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal University Birnin Kebbi Establishment Bill 2023, SB 224, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Saliu Mustafa, on the National Agricultural Land Development Authority Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 225. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Agricultural Land Development Authority Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 225, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National Agricultural Land Development Authority Act Amendment Bill 2023, first reading taken. The Senate Leader. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the distinguished Senate to consider the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Shaka K. Chira for appointment as Auditor General for the Federation in accordance with Section 86, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as altered. Mr. President, distinguished senators, in order to carry out this exercise in conformity with our Standing Order 12 regarding floor privileges, I will move a motion that the Senate do admit the Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly Matters into the Senate chamber, and as well suspend same Order 12 to admit the nominee and his entourage into the Senate chamber. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to support the motion labeled by Senate Leader that the Senate do suspend our rules on the 12th to allow strangers into chambers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support of the motion say aye, and those who are against the motion say nay. The ayes have it.
Distinguished colleagues, order please. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished colleagues, order please. Order.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President,
Distinguished colleagues,
thank you, sir.
distinguished colleagues, order please.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, while Order 12 on floor privileges remains suspended, may I inform Mr. President and distinguished colleagues that the Auditor General nominee is yet to arrive. However, based on what is contained on our order paper, as the second order of the day, may I move a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission in accordance with the provisions of Section 154 sub 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as altered. 1. Mr. Etekamba Umoren from Akwa Ibom. 2. Mr. Isa Shaka Ehimeni, representing Edo. 3. Barrister Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, representing Ekiti. 4. Mr. Abubakar Ahmed Mai, representing Gombe. 5. Mr. Shehu Wahab, representing Kwara. 6. Dr. Bumi Omoseyidebi, Lagos. 7. Mr. Aminu Kasimi Idris, Nasarawa. 8. Muhammad Abubakar Sadiq, Niger. 9. Dr. Anubum Onoha, Rivers. And 10. Mr. Abubakar Fawa Dambo, Zamfara. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I move that our earlier decision to suspend Standing Order 12 of floor privileges to allow strangers into the chamber be sustained for the purpose of this confirmation, while the confirmation of the Auditor General nominee is stood down until after we are done with this second order of the day. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I would like to second the motion moved by the Senate Leader. I so support.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we step down the first order of the day and proceed to the second order of the day. Those who are in support of the motion say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to move that the Senate dissolve into a committee of the whole to enable us conduct the confirmation hearing. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'd like to second the motion that the House dissolve into committee of whole to consider the confirmation. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this chamber do resolve into a committee of the whole to consider the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, before us are nominees of Mr. President for the vacancies of the resident electoral commissioners. In no particular order, we would like them to take the stage and introduce themselves, short resume, and proceed to answer questions from distinguished senators. Is Oluwatoyin Babalola here? Please take the stage. Madam, give a brief resume of yourself and proceed to answer a few questions.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Jubrin Barau, may I also recognize the leadership of the Senate, and with the kind permission of Your Excellency, I wish to recognize the distinguished senators from my state of origin, Ekiti State. May I go ahead, sir? Okay. I recognize distinguished Senator Michael Okoyemi Bamidele, Senator representing Ekiti Central, distinguished Senator Adaramodu Adeyemi Raphael, representing Ekiti South, and distinguished Senator Fashui Raphael, representing Ekiti North. I wish to recognize the chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, distinguished Senator Sharafaddin Abiodun Ali, and all distinguished senators here present. My name is Oluwatoyin Oluwayemisi Babalola. I was born on 10th of June, 1967 in Ibadan, Oyo State, to the family of Elder and Dickness Oni. I hail from Igbara Odo Ekiti, in Ekiti Southwest Local Government of Ekiti State. I started my primary education from Sacred Heart Private School in Ibadan, after which I proceeded to Federal Government Girls College, Akure, where I obtained my O-level certificate. From there, I proceeded to the University of Ife, where I obtained a bachelor degree, Bachelor of Law, after which I attended the Nigerian Law School, Victoria Island, where I obtained my LLB, my Bachelor of Law. After passing out of the Nigerian Law School, when I was called to bar, I served with the Nikon Insurance Corporation of Nigeria in Abeokuta, and I took up a brief employment with Emir Pampa and Co. in Ikeja, Lagos. From then, I joined the services of the National Electoral Commission then in March 1990. And I've worked with the National Electoral Commission since 1990 up till date. I've risen through the rank to the peak of my career as Director of Legal Services. I'm currently the Director of Legal Drafting and Clearance. In the course of my service in INEC, I have functioned in various committees within and outside the Commission. I've attended various trainings locally and internationally. I was a member of the Electoral Reform Committee, the Kenny Unamani Committee. I also hold a master's degree in election management from Bingham University, Abuja. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, ICMC. I'm also an associate of the Dispute Resolution Institute. Thank you.
This is Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent the good people of Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I'm happy to stand up. I was delighted to see this lady walk into this chamber as a nominee, as a resident electoral commissioner to be appointed. You know, Mr. President and Chairman now, that I was National Chairman of All Progressives Grand Alliance for 10 years. So I had a long-standing relationship with the Electoral Commission. And I know all the people who worked there between 2005 and now. Barrister Oluwa Toyin Oluwa Yemisi Babalola, I had known her for about 15 years in that commission. I'm happy that Mr. President could nominate her to serve in that commission as a resident electoral commissioner. She has vast experience, and she's a very, very hardworking, principled officer in that commission. Those of us who had reasons to be to the commission for one thing or the other can attest to her conduct and character. She has experience in election management, the way she has said it, as a fellow, and somebody who has a master's degree in election management. If this is the type of people Mr. President will be bringing here to help us in INEC, I won't have any problem. I want to say that her nomination is a well-deserved nomination, and this country will benefit from her vast experience. Most of the things that happen in INEC start going wrong. There are a lot of litigations, both in parties, nominations, and all sorts of things. She has maintained her head and candor while discharging her duties as Director of Legal Services in INEC. So I will say that I support her nomination, and I call on our colleagues to see no reason not to confirm her. She's somebody who has been above board. I can attest to that because I experienced her services. There's another person, anyway, when we get there, I don't know whether it's the same person that I know. I mean Idris, whether it's the same person. That time, I don't know if I can talk again. But these experienced officers from INEC carry a lot of burden. Election management is a problem in Nigeria today. So not round up. They are the people who know the onions. And if they are put in the saddle as resident electoral commissioners, they will be able to serve this country with honor. If Amin Idris is the one that I know, that I saw here, because I won't have the chance to speak again, I wholeheartedly support these two nominations. They are very upright people. I thank you, Mr. President, for the honor, and I congratulate them for serving INEC to the peak of their careers as directors and now being nominated to go and become resident electoral commissioners in the states so that they will help to arrest the rot in our election management processes. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Honestly, there is what has captured my attention is what distinguished Senator Omer said, that even though he was chairman of a political party for 10 years and in the opposition, that the nominee exhibited a lot of integrity, a lot of candor, and a lot of patriotism. I would like us to shorten the process, because what he said is that if these are the kind of people the president is looking at, to go and salvage the rot. I like that because I also had my experience with INEC in 2019, which was not very good, all of us. So but once in a while, we have to eat rice with sand and pretend as if it is sweet. So the nominee, were you in INEC in 2019? Huh? Are you familiar with the case of Akwa Ibom North West Senatorial District that involves Senator Akpabio? And are you aware of the decision of the Court of Appeal that the person who messed up that my victory should be taken to court? Are you aware? Are you also aware that the person who was given 3 years jail term for counseling an already collated election result, and that it was through the instrumentality of the reg? Point of order is upheld. So, is there anybody that is opposed to the nominee? Anybody that is opposed to the nominee? So, Senator Adams, Oshwele, I put it to the floor already. Is there any person that is opposed to the nominee? So in that case, the nominee, you may step down and take a bow. Congratulations. Next person. Distinguished Abubakar Ahmed Maji. Introduce yourself, and we already have your resume, but if there's anything you need to add that is not contained here, go ahead.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, Deputy President of the Senate, leadership of the Senate, and with your kind permission, may I also recognize the distinguished senators Danjuma Muhammad Goji, Angombo Ibrahim Hassan, Senator Siaka Anthony Aro of Gombe State. Distinguished senators, my name is Abubakar Ahmed Maji, MNI. I was born on the 11th of January, 1959 in Deba, Yamal to Deba local government of Gombe State. I'm from Akko local government of Gombe State. I am married with grandchildren. I attended Bolari Primary School, Gombe, 1966 to 1970, Kalshingi Primary School, Kalshingi, 1970 to 1973, Bauchi College of Arts and Science, Bauchi, 1977 to 1979, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, 1980 to 1983, the University of Jos, 1993 to 1994, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, 2013. I hold a bachelor's degree in arts education, Master of Education, Administration and Planning, and I'm a member of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. In my career in the public service, I started as an education officer with the Teachers Service Commission in Bauchi in 1984. I rose to the rank of Education Officer 5 and Vice Principal in 1989. Then I moved to the College of Education, Azare, in 1989, from where I joined the service as an Assistant Lecturer 2, grew and attained the position of Chief Lecturer, Senior Lecturer and Dean, School of Languages of the College of Education, Azare. Then I was employed as a Chief Legislative Aide to the late Senator Seidu Umar Kumo in the National Assembly here in 1999, where I served up to 2002. Then I was appointed an Assistant Director of Administration at the National Assembly Service Commission here, and I rose to the rank of Director in 2011 and retired from the service in 2019. My duties mainly were taking charge of the general administration of a department, and advising on policy matters. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Goje.
Mr. President, I am Mohammed Danjuma Goje, Gombe Central, Gombe State. Mr. President, the nominee, Abubakar Ahmed Maji, is well known to me. He's from my local government in Gombe State. From the CV, he's richly qualified, well qualified for the job as a civil servant who is not a politician. And that's why we need REC to be. We need our electoral officers to be non-partisan. He's eminently qualified, educationally and experience-wise. I can also attest to his character as somebody who is very honest, down to earth, very simple, and also with high dedication to whatever assignment is given to him. I am very much convinced that if confirmed, he is going to be a very, very good resident electoral commissioner. Therefore, on this score, I strongly recommend him for confirmation
And I asked my colleagues to just allow him to take a bow and go on, because he's very qualified for the job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Obviously, yes, Senator Dan Kwambo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my colleagues, I rise to support the assertion made by one of our leaders, Senator Goje, for Abubakar Maji. I know Abubakar Maji too very well. I know he is from Akko local government, but he grew up in my ward in Gombe. He's actually behind our house. Even though he was not fortunate to go to one of the good primary schools in Gombe, he went to one primary school at the back of Gombe there, but he still had a very good academic record. He has prospered and made very good contribution to educational development in Gombe State, in Bauchi State, and by extension in Nigeria. He has also contributed to the development of the National Assembly. As a legislative aide, he has worked in the National Assembly and rose up to the rank of a director, from where he retired. He has paid his dues. He is of good character, impeccable character. He has never participated in politics, that I know, and he is standing there for you or for us to confirm him. If he is confirmed today, Mr. President, these are the kind of recs that we need nowadays. People of quality, people of integrity, and people that are honest, which I attest Abubakar Baji is one of them. I therefore so submit, Mr. President. Thank you.
The distinguished Senator Ningi.
My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central. Mr. President, the nominee before us, Ahmed Abubakar Ma'aji, that we call that Majiji, is a classmate, a friend. And when he came to Abuja as an appointee of the National Service Commission, he is a thorough civil servant. And if there is any issue that concerns members of the House of Representatives, all I need to do is to pick up my phone, and call Ahmed that a particular member has issues that has to do with either his staff or his constituency. And I consider that matter done. And that's what he has been doing all through his tenure until he retired about 3 years ago from the National Assembly Service Commission. The person before you, Mr. President, is a thorough civil servant. One particularly good thing about him, and that he is not associated with any particular political party. He's a thorough civil servant, and these are the kind of people I think this nation needs for us to steer us to a greater height for democratic dividends. Before you, sir, is somebody that I can vouch for, is somebody any person that he met in the course of his life can vouch for. I know, as a matter of fact, any state that he is posted will be proud of his stewardship. Mr. President, Ahmed is a thoroughbred, and he should be recommended and confirmed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. From the testimonies, unless distinguished Senator Mangunu has anything different.
Distinguished Senate President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. Nominee, congratulations for your nomination to serve as a commissioner in the Independent National Electoral Commission. And from the testimonies of people that know you, you are a square peg in a square hole, and you have all the honesty to be able to discharge this function without fear or favor if you are eventually confirmed. Well, the major discourse now with regard to the reformation of our electoral system in order to deliver a credible, transparent, and an election that is going to be a replica of the wishes and aspirations of the people is the contentious issue of electronic transmission of results. In your own opinion, if you are called upon to proffer an opinion, is it good for us to allow the issue of electronic transmission of results to the whims and caprices of the electoral management body, or it should be made as a matter of law, enshrined in our law, that election results should be transmitted electronically, especially against the backdrop of the infrastructure deficit that we have in the country? I want you to propose a solution or an opinion if you are called upon to do so.
In the absence of any other question, I would like to mention to distinguished Senator Monguno that the nominee before us is for a state. The transmission, according to some of the officials in INEC, is from, is it IRF? And it's actually done at the national level. So the resident electoral commissioner manages the state, and then so he may not know much about it, but in case he has an idea, you can proceed to answer.
Distinguished Senator, sir, as a citizen, I have an opinion which is just that it is a human system, it is a process. The process is operated by human beings. We need to, as much as possible, adhere to the rules. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, distinguished Senator. Distinguished nominee, you may now take a bow and leave. Can we have Aminu Kashimu Idris? Brief resume of yourself, and if you have anything to add outside what is in your CV, you do so.
Of the Senate, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, Your Excellencies, leaders of the Senate, and with the permission of the President of the Senate, I'd like to pay respect to the 3 senators from Nasarawa State, distinguished Senator Godia Akwashiki from Nasarawa North, distinguished Senator Aliyu Wadada of Nasarawa West, and distinguished Senator Mohammed Onau from Nasarawa South, and all distinguished senators here present. My name is Aminu Idris. I am from Nasarawa State, and my background is I hold a master's degree in international relations from the University of Pittsburgh, in addition to a bachelor's degree from the same University of Pittsburgh. My worked in the banking sector, and I started work with INEC in 2003, where I'm retiring as a director of election and party monitoring. Thank you very much, distinguished senators.
Dismissed Senator Plank.
The President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dicket Plank, Senator representing the good people of Plateau Central Senatorial District. Mr. President of the Senate, my colleagues, I am not from Nasarawa State, I am from Plateau State. The nominee standing before us is from Nasarawa, although Plateau gave birth to Nasarawa at old age, but they are independent. Permit me, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, to say something small on this nominee. I am saying what I want to say probably to spur the nominee to live by his own way of life. I'm sure that if all of us will go through the CV, we'll all know that the nominee is well exposed. I would like to use this opportunity to appreciate Mr. President for credibility nomination, because the people appearing before us are full of people of integrity. Mr. President of the Senate, you all know that for me, our election, all of us election was conducted on the 25th of February, 2023. I am one of those whose election was not announced until after about 9 weeks. And therefore, my colleagues, whose names who were declared on the 25th of February are more ranking than me. I would like to testify that I came across this nominee, not knowing that I will ever see him, when I was battling for my name to be announced as the winner of the election. My colleagues, my election was between me and a brother of mine in PDP. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, this nominee married from my place. And his wife, I'm coming, sir. I want to say something. Let me say something, sir. Allow me, sir. Unfortunately, my opponent is an in-law to him. So I was scared. But the way this nominee at the headquarters handled my election testified to me that the man fears God. And if our election body would be people that fear God, I am certain that justice will be found, sir. I therefore feel that this nominee is someone that fears God. He's a man of integrity. He is a round peg in a round hole. And I would like to encourage that by the grace of God, if you are confirmed, please sustain your normal good character wherever you find yourself. I recommend him, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please, even if the nominee is married to your mother, try not to bring it up at this hearing. Dismissed Senator Plank, we have noted the fact that you have attested to his integrity and conduct. We are satisfied that the president made the right choice. Senator Akwashiki from my left, is he married to your cousin too?
Mr. Chairman, my very distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Akwashiki Godia representing Nasarawa Central District. Mr. Chairman, first and foremost, let me use this time and this opportunity to commend Mr. President, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for bringing people like Aminu Idris on board. Because when you have a good man in the right place, he changes things in favor of justice, peace, truth, fairness, and equality. And the man standing before us today, Mr. Chairman, happens to come from Akwanga local government, one of the local government in my own senatorial district. And I must commend him. I'm seeing him today for the second time in life. And when his name came on board 3 days ago, the kind of calls, the kind of testimonies, and I am here in the Senate today, I contested under the platform of SDP. And it's by the grace of God that uses him to make sure things happen in the right way according to the law of the land. Mr. Chairman, sir, the man that is standing here today, I supposed to be in the committee of appropriation now. But I was telling some people just now 3 minutes ago, I said I decided to come here, even if you will not allow me to speak, just to honor this man standing before us. His younger brother, the same mother, the same father, happens to be a special advisor. But I want to assure you today, when it's come to election, during electionary time, he will tell him, please, he will call it please, keep me out of a political problem. I want to die in peace. Let me do my own assignment according to the oath taken by me in favor of peace, because I work in INEC and I am a referee. I don't see myself as a referee to take a part in whatever way. And it happens, his father used to be a very respected civil servant in the entire family of them. He's the only person that followed the track of the father. Mr. Chairman, I am of SDP today, an opposition party in Nigeria. And I want to assure you, and I pray, sincerely pray for him, that God should protect him, let him not change, let him go back to the INEC. He's almost going out. But because Mr. President said these are some of the electoral gurus in the INEC today, that they should not waste them. And he happens to nominate him to serve as reg today. And I want to assure you, if they send this guy to Akwa Ibom, if there's any mistake, just like you said, he's going to change things in the next 3 months. I want to assure you. If he didn't change, he said, I have lied. This guy that is standing before us, I want to urge all of us not to waste his time, to ask him to take a bow and go and prepare himself for the next assignment. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Akwashiki, I think you are right in recommending that the president should post him to Akwa Ibom. But it's not the president that will do it, it is the INEC chairman. So please plead to INEC chairman that he should send him to, he should not send him to Plateau State. He should send him to Akwa Ibom. But that suggestion on the posting is ruled out of order. The nominee, we have nothing to add. Please take a bow. Yes, so I take up my water. Introduce yourself and give us a brief of your resume.
Okay, thank you. Your Excellency, the Senate President, Your Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, the leadership of the Senate, distinguished senators. My name is Etekamba Udo Umoren. I was born 1st of April 1960, and I'm married with children. I attended the Presbyterian Primary School Ewet in Uyo in 1968 to 1969. After the Civil War, I went back home and I attended the Urban Primary School in Ikotekpene in 1970 and completed my primary school education in government school Uruguso, still in Ikotekpene, in 1973. I was thereafter admitted to the Federal Government College Ilorin in Kwara State in 1973 to 1978. And I went back there and did my A-levels and finished in 1980. I got admitted into the University of Benin, 1981 to 1984, where I graduated with a BSc Honors in Geography. I did my NYSC at Ugbori Ukuko Secondary School in the now Delta State, then it was Bender State. I was employed as an administrative officer by the Cross River State government in 1987, precisely 30th of June, 1987. 2 months and 23 days later, Akwa Ibom State was created out of Cross River State. And being from that section, I had to move to Akwa Ibom State. And there I rose from the ranks, serving in different ministries, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Lands and Housing, etc., etc. In 2007, I was appointed a permanent secretary and served in the governor's office. In 2014, I voluntarily retired as a permanent secretary and took up appointment as chief of staff to the governor of Akwa Ibom State. In 2015, Akwa Ibom State governor in 2015, I was appointed the secretary to Akwa Ibom State government. Governor Udum Emmanuel of PDP. I am a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management. I'm a full member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. So that, in summary, Mr. President, is my career so far. Thank you, sir.
The Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee Udo Umoren, I have perused through your resume, your very good resume, where I can see that you have an outstanding pedigree. You had a very good working experience in the civil service of your state, where you rose to the highest pinnacle of your civil service career, and you got to the position of the permanent secretary, which is the highest. Thereafter, you became a chief of staff to a governor, which is a very, very important position. And also, you became secretary to the government of your state. Am I right? My colleagues, this man has gone through all spheres of civil service and even went into public service. He has a wonderful pedigree, very, very good pedigree. And I think he will be of help to our electoral management system, going by his pedigree. I just want to ask you one question. Just say yes or no. The zeal you put, and you had a wonderful stint in the civil service, which made you to become a permanent secretary, SSG, and so on and so forth. Will you repeat the same thing if you are confirmed by the Senate? Yes or no? Yes. Mr. Chairman, I urge my colleagues that there's no need to ask any further question. That this man, because of his wonderful pedigree, I urge all of you to allow him to bow and go. This man, he has done his best and is willing to do more for the service of the fatherland. I therefore urge all of you to allow him to bow and go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, actually, because you are speaking as an elder, can I hear from the new generation? Distinguished Senator Jimmy Kuta, you want to add something to what the Senate President has said?
Thank you, Mr. President, sitting as the chair of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, from his resume, he has served, he has experience. Like my distinguished colleague, senior brother, Senator Akwashiki said, we should not waste those experience away, because we, the young one, will learn from them. So, and secondly, there is a question that bothered me that my senior brother, the DSP, asked, that will you do the same? I don't know why they asked him like that, because they have not asked anybody. But for him to answer like that, sir, I ran about what the DSP said, and the answer he answered. He should take a bow and leave. Thank you, Mr. President.
The distinguished Senator Father Honsi.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Adifada Honsi from Osun East. Mr. Etikamba, congratulations for your nomination. Going through your CV and all your public service activities, we know that you are a real guru in South-South administration and politics. The question is, you served two governors. One to our boss here as the chief of staff, the other one to the former governor as secretary of the government. Now you are now facing the whole world. That's INEC. Are you going to be another Guinea in the South? Or you want to be loyal to any of these groups you have already mentioned? There's a oath in INEC. There's a personal oath to all your principals. Which one do you want to belong? Thank you, Mr. President.
The nominee is asking that being a civil servant from the days of Southeastern State, Cross River State, Akwa Ibom said you rose to become permanent secretary. You served many governors. I'm aware you served Obon Victor Ota, and he was the one who appointed you permanent secretary. And then you served also in my administration as permanent secretary. You also served in the administration of the last governor as secretary to government. In all this, you span through your public service life. As an INEC rec, are you going to be loyal to Akwa Ibom, or are you going to save the nation? Just answer that question and take a bow.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is strictly a national assignment, sir. And I think first thing first, the loyalty goes to the country. The country has to be in peace. I think that's essentially what it is, sir. Thank you, sir.
May I now take a bow? Is it the view of the Senate? Yes. Introduce yourself and quickly.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, the leadership of the Senate, and with the kind permission of the President of the Senate, I would like to acknowledge the senators, the 3 senators from my state, the state of Harmony, distinguished Senator Saliu Mustafa the Turaki of Ilorin, distinguished Senator Architect Lola Ashiru, Kwara South, and distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar from Kwara North. Similarly, I would like to take your permission to also acknowledge the chair of the Senate Committee on INEC, and indeed, the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My name is Shehu Laiwala Wahab, born on the 10th November 1964, had my primary school in Ilorin, secondary school in Omaran, still in Kwara State. I had my basic studies at Kwara State Polytechnic between 1981 to 1983, had my first degree in political science from Ahmadu Bello University in 1986, had my master's in political science from University of Ibadan, and I'm currently a doctoral student at Nasarawa State University, the same course, political science. I joined the service of the then NEC in 1989, and over this period of 34 years, I have worked in virtually all the departments except the professional departments in the commission, starting as a research officer in 1989, October. I rose through the rank and became a director in January 2021. I was subsequently posted to become the administrative secretary of INEC in Benue State, where, along with my resident electoral commissioner, Professor Sam Egu, oversee the conduct of the election in Benue, which I learned has been most peaceful, transparent election in recent time in that state. I've had the opportunity of attending several development courses both within and outside the country. And I'm a member, full member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management and full member of Nigeria Institute of Management. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator Sharafaddin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sitting as chair, I remain Sharafaddin Abiodun Ali. I represent Oyo South Senatorial District. First and foremost, I want to use the opportunity to thank Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for deeming it fit to nominate experienced people who can be described as round peg and round hole as resident electoral commissioners. We have listened to our people here, distinguished senators, and especially I can talk of the nominee before this house is an election expert. And along with those, some of the colleagues, his colleagues who have appeared before us, the one from Ekiti and Nasarawa, from moments that we had here, people have attested to the fact that they were doing their job diligently. And Mr. President appointing this kind of people shows that we'll encourage others to be diligent in their duties. I want to urge this Senate to support and approve his nomination as a resident electoral commissioner by just allowing him to take a leave of this Senate. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator Izunaso.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sitting as chair. My name is Senator Osita Izunaso. I represent Imo West. Mr. President, I'm particularly delighted about the quality of resident electoral commissioners so nominated by Mr. President. If you look at the trend, you see that these are directors or people who have reached their peak in INEC already, who has distinguished themselves, that are appointing, majority of them, from Ekiti to Nasarawa, now to Kwara. I've had personal encounter with Wahab. I never knew he's from Kwara. I'm just knowing today that he's from Kwara State. Mr. President, you will recall that in our retreat in Ekoti Ebede, he was the person that came to stand in for, he stood in for his rec that we invited as one of our panelists. And he did exceptionally very well. That even you ordered that we should clap when we're not supposed to clap. You said clap for him, that he did well. And we clap because you ordered so. Mr. Wahab, when they posted him to Imo to do an ad hoc work, he came to Imo, took over the entire scenario, and delivered to the best of his ability. And I didn't even recognize him again. After about 2 or 3 years, we met somewhere, and he was saying, do you still recognize me? I said, no, I'm not very sure. He said, I was one who came to Imo to rescue a few things that were going wrong during one of the elections, and I remembered. Mr. President, I think with people like this, we don't need to ask them many questions. If you look at the CV, as a research assistant, he has worked in election management of FINEC up to today as admin sec in Benue State. I think I will just borrow a leaf from my colleague Sharafaddin, that his experience is something we should allow him to go, take a bow, and go and get himself ready for any state that they will post him for election. I so move, Mr. President.
From my left, somebody will second that motion. Let me recognize Senator Neida.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Neda Imaswe, Edo South Senatorial District. As much as I second the opinion of every one of us, not just for him, but for all the candidates that have appeared before us, I just have one worry. And that worry is to bring to fore the independence of an electoral officer, of a state electoral officer of INEC. I wonder if that independence is something that they all take seriously. And I say that in the background of what happened in the last election in Abia and the state of Enugu. If, as a resident electoral officer, you understand and recognize that you enjoy this independence to call the election as it is, then many of us, all of us here, because we are politicians that stand for elections, will be very much satisfied and can actually go home with our eyes closed in bed. But we also understand that this is not always the case. That while you have that responsibility to conduct an election in your state or the state for which you have been assigned, that certain strings are pulled from somewhere else that makes you either take that result to Abuja to be announced or to do other than what you're supposed to do. So we are asking, we are urging that you should take this assignment very seriously, because we are talking about democracy and we are talking about the deepening of our democracy. And it starts and ends with you. And so, as I will not object to any of the candidates that have come forward, because looking through your resume, you are all very qualified, eminently so. But please, we urge that you have this at the back of your mind, that you are serving the country and you have a responsibility to deepen this, our democracy, by the way you conduct your elections. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thought you were going to ask a question, but the reality is that the kind of elections they conduct sometimes is a fallout of the law that we make here. So where you make a law that you don't hold them personally liable for blunders, and they claim they were working for INEC, and INEC is amorphous, they will go free. I've had my personal experience, and now that we are all here, we'll use all our experiences to reject the Electoral Act. Am I right? So that we can begin to hold people responsible. If people know that stealing of election, stealing of somebody's victory is a criminal offense that will take you to jail, they'll be very careful, right? So I'm not worried about the appointees. I'm more worried about their freedom at the end of the elections. Because we in this 10th assembly, we are determined to make sure that we make the kind of electoral acts that will hold people accountable for their actions to ensure free and fair exercise. So Neda, that what you said is something you should have even said in the presence of all of them, one after the other. We are not going to, because I've seen where a resident electoral commissioner goes on television and speaks even more than the chairman and becomes even the mouthpiece of INEC, and even sits down to say that a sitting Senate president should be sentenced to 2 years imprisonment, and then goes ahead to interpret that, that he will transmit result, transmit this, transmit that, and after the loquacious speeches all over, and they heard him in all the television studios, INEC refused to take action against him. And then the court will go and overrule him, time without time and all that. So we have suffered, and I think it's time that we put the right provisions in the act, that we don't need to wait for the court to order that such electoral umpire should be tried. The law itself will make provision for. You mentioned something about somebody carrying election. I can just mention this as a personal experience. 2019, they used law enforcement agents to pack my own election in the last collation center at the senatorial headquarters. They carried my elections from Ikot to Uyo to go and bastardize, even though the Court of Appeal nullified what they did. But they have succeeded in causing trauma to my constituents. And the resident electoral commissioner knew very well that the law at that time said that senatorial election results should be announced at the senatorial headquarters. But it walked free. And he has the effrontery to go and sit on television and be talking. So I'm coming here with experience of what INEC has done to each and every one of us here and to across party lines. So we are going to work together, hold our closed-door sessions, review the laws generally, rejig the electoral system so that they will be held more accountable for their actions. I'm not worried about that. I'll be worried if we did not have a solution. We have a solution here. We have to make sure we bring a law that will work for Nigerians and work for democracy. Distinguished Senator Lero, you may end with him.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I think you have really captured what I wanted to say, because we want improvement in the electoral process we have. We want a situation where our democracy or our electoral process will be strengthened and be deepened. We want a situation where after election result is announced, everybody will accept it as it is. There may not be need to even go to court to contest it because it is free, fair, credible, and very acceptable election. And once, yes, and very transparent. Once that is done, Mr. President, I think Nigerians will be very happy. And what I wanted to ask really is how would these nominees conduct free, fair, and transparent election? We know there are flaws in our laws. We know there are some lacunas, particularly in the Electoral Act of 2022. And we are now determined more than ever to ensure that such lacunas are covered or we are cured. The defects are cured. I think once we do that, Mr. President, we will be able to have free and fair election. And let me also join all those who spoke that these are the kind of nominees that we want. Nominees that are apolitical, nominees that have no political affiliation from what we have seen. Because most of them are now working with INEC. Some of them are civil servants working somewhere. They are not affiliated to any political party. And the fear of opposition parties will be laid to rest if this kind of people are appointed to head, to head the election or to conduct election. But having said this, Mr. President, Mr. Nominee, what, in your opinion, can be done to ensure that the election we are going to conduct in 2027 is free and fair, bearing in mind that we started with card leader Beavers. Yeah, he's an election expert. He's an election expert. I'm sure if he cannot answer it, his colleagues will be able to assist him. We started with what do you call the card leader, Beavers. Nigerians are now saying that, look, let's go electronically. Let's press the button from the polling unit, then the entire election result will be in headquarters. If that happens,
there will be no need for anybody to call for fault. Nobody will cry. Nobody will say something has been done wrongly, because the register is used, and the people that are accredited are the ones that will vote. Certainly, not all the people that are entered in the register will come and be accredited. So, but at least accreditation will be equivalent to the number of people that will vote. So, what, in your opinion, can be used to have this kind of election in Nigeria?
I still submit.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I would like to second the motion that we extend our time beyond 2 o'clock to enable us to complete the assignment on the other paper. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this allow chamber do extend the sitting time beyond 2 o'clock to enable us complete the items on the other paper. Those who are in support say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, distinguished Senator Alero, conclude. Senator Alero, you have concluded. Okay, so if yes.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Olalere Oyewumi, Senator representing Osun West Central District. I'm particularly interested in this nominee because he's a researcher in ANEC. People have said a lot of good things about you. I wish you good luck. But sir, I want you to tell Nigeria, in your own view as a researcher in ANEC, where are the areas in the Electoral Act that you think need some amendment to make our election more credible and result more acceptable? Thank you, Mr. President.
Nominee, the reality is that somebody mentioned that when you appeared during our retreat that I authorized that they should clap for you. It was because we were not in the chambers. In the chambers, the Senate, we don't clap. But because we were not in chambers, we were in a hotel. That was why I said they should clap for you, because of your elocution and your lucid interpretation of things. So I joined my colleagues to thank the president and congratulate the president for fishing you out. And I know that you will make a difference. So as a researcher, please, we look forward to getting a paper from you on all the areas you think we can make amends to ensure a better electoral process. You are eager to speak, and I know that if I give you the floor, for the next 30 minutes you will not finish. So you are already qualified. Nobody is arguing about your qualification. Our job is to screen you to find out whether you are qualified, not to get lectures. So I will surprise you by telling you to step forward, take a bow, and leave. And then send us the paper later. Yes, Edo? No, Niger.
Your Excellency, Senate President, Senator Godwin Obot Akpabio, CON, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Jibrin Barau, the principal officers, distinguished senators, may I especially recognize my senators from Niger State, Senator Mohammed Sani Musa, Senator Abubakar Sani Bello, Senator Peter Jia. My name is Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq. I was born in Kagara, Rafila Kalgama area of Niger State. I started my primary education in Islamia Primary School from 1969 to 1975. I proceeded to Government Teachers College, Mokwa, from 1975 to 1980. In 1981 to 85, I was at College of Education, Mina, where I had my NCE. I then had a break for NYSC, 1984 to 1985 in Bendel State, somewhere called Ogwashiku, now in Delta State. So after the service, I proceeded to ABU Zaria, where I read language arts and got Bachelor of Education degree. I also attended Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, from 1983 to 1984, where I had PGDPA. I also proceeded to Abuja University between 2005 to 2008, where I had Masters in Public Administration. While at Lokoja as an administrative secretary, I also ventured into study at Federal University Lokoja, where I obtained Master of Science degree in Political Science. So these are the academic records, sir. For the working experience, I started as an education officer in Niger State from 1987 to 1989. From there, I got appointed into then NEC, National Electoral Commission, in 1989 as a logistics officer. So I rose through the rank from level 9 up to the position of director in 2016. When I was in INEC, I had various responsibilities, or I took various responsibilities. Essentially, logistics officer were in charge of men and materials for the election. Then when I became a deputy director, I moved into Human Resources Department, where I serve as deputy director, employment relations. Then when I got my promotion in 2016 as director, I was deployed to Sokoto State, where I served as administrative secretary, and later on to Kogi State, where I finally retired in December 2022. Your Excellency, this is a little summary, of my career and my qualification. I thank you for the honor, sir.
Yes, distinguished Yaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not from Niger State, but I will rise to put on record my appreciation to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for finding it absolutely right to deploy people with knowledge and experience in election matters to positions of authority in election management. This is unprecedented. I think the President should be commended by this chamber for taking these steps to bring back those with experience in these matters, to make sure that the sanctity of elections in this country is inviolable. Mr. President, this position that had been taken by Mr. President should be commended, and this Senate should send a message to institutions that have responsibility for managing the affairs of this country to toe this line of honor. Mr. President, I am personally exalted by this action that has taken by the President, and I hope that in the future, this kind of thing should be replicated in areas where this country demands sanity, transparency, and proper engagement with the citizens so that the right thing is done at all times. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished Senator. Well, there is a motion on ground by distinguished Senator Yaya, our leader, that the President of Nigeria should be commended for the nature of the appointees that he has brought forward to the Senate for clearance, for screening and clearance to man the electoral process in our dear country. People of experience, people of character, and public servants, and that, again, I use his word, that this is unprecedented, and therefore the President should be commended. And you know, it's coming from the other side of the aisle. That shows you that they are speaking from their hearts. We are not doing politics here. We are not doing politics. We are only commending a president for what he has done transparently, and he also said that this should be the record and the template for future appointments into the electoral bodies in the country in order to ensure people of experience, transparency, and integrity of elections, and reduce the numerous electoral litigations that we face after every exercise. I don't know whether you wish to second that motion. Sorry, distinguished Senator Ningi.
Senator Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central. I rise to second the motion ably moved and canvassed by my friend, the former Senate leader. Mr. President, what is right, and what is good. For a very long time, we have not had this opportunity to have people from INEC, being called to service after their retirement. More often than not, politicians are brought to INEC, and in a number of cases, not all, people take side with one political party or the other. I think this is unprecedented, and I second that Mr. President should be commended, and going forward, we should keep on evolving this kind of exercise. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved by distinguished Senator Yaya and seconded by Senator Ningi that this hallowed chamber do commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the nature of nominees he has sent to serve in the next level as resident electoral commissioners, particularly the search for retired INEC officials and people of experience who will come to add value to the next set of elections in this country, and that this should be commended. Those who are in support of the motion that this Senate do commend Mr. President for the nature of the nominees sent forth for screening and confirmation, say aye. Those again say nay. Unanimously, the ayes have it. We send a message of felicitations and congratulations to Mr. President for the nature of people that we have seen today before us. Senator Sani Musa, we would like the nominee to take a bow. Please, take a bow and go. The last person, please introduce yourself and just.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Senate, Senator Goswe Abbott Akpabio, GCON, Deputy President of the Senate, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Jubrin Barau, Principal Officers, distinguished senators. Let me recognize the senators from my state. Senator Adams Ali Oshomole, Senator Monde Okwebolo, and Senator Lenda Imasue. Now about myself. My name is Issa Shaka Ehimiahe. I am from Warake community in Onwa East Local Government Area, Edo State. I was born on the 26th of March 1972 in Warake, Onwa East Local Government Area in Edo State. I attended my Abalosu Primary School in Warake in 1977 to 1983. I later proceeded to my mid-secondary school, Warake, now called Inumoru College. In Edo State. Therefore, in pursuit of my further education, I went to Kano State Polytechnic, where I obtained my National Diploma in Financial Management Studies, 1999, and later on, I went back to acquire higher National Diploma, HND in Accountancy, and in 2023. And again, in 2028, I obtained another HND in Marketing Department. To further enhance my academic qualification, I went to Kaduna State to acquire my postgraduate diploma in procurement and supply chain management in 2018, and master's in procurement supply chain from same university, 2021. I started my career in banking industry with Union Home Service and Loan Nigeria Limited, a subsidiary of Union Bank, in Kano branch. Later, I was transferred to Kaduna branch to head a reconciliation committee. While I was in Kaduna branch, I was the head of reconciliation in Kaduna branch. Until my nomination as Resident Electoral Commissioner REC by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFRN, on 25th October 2023, I was the Procurement and Warehouse Manager for Mamuda Agro, Allied Products Nigeria Limited in Kano. 6 February 2022, I was saddled with the responsibility to ensure implementation of warehousing system policies, safety, and the security of materials. All right. Again, My leadership style revolves around a coaching and satisfaction leadership. This is because it gives me the flexibility to motivate my team members to innovate and create a chance for others to build up a capacity. I conclude. Before now, I still remain the manager of Mahmuda Agro Limited in Kano as a procurement officer.
Any question? Who? No, Monday. And Dr. Senator Shimole. Monday, you have the floor. After that, your our big brother.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Monday Okpebolo from Edo Central. The nominee is well known to me. He's a brother and he's a friend. A man with character, somebody you can trust at any time. Mr. President, if you look at his CV, you will discover that he has not deviated like other people from his own profession. That will testify the kind of person he is, Mr. President. I urge the Senate to please support this young man. Let him take a leave of the Senate. So submit, Mr. President. Thank you.
To take something from legal. Dismissed Senator Oshimole.
Mr. President, sir, let me first appreciate you for awarding me doctorate degree, and I claim it. Amen. And I'll watch it later after this session. Mr. President, sir, I write to support. My name is Adams Aliu Oshomole. I represent the good people of Edo North. And unlike others, I think the gentleman before us is someone who can be described as self-made. He's had his background in the private sector, in different sectors within the private sector. And he has not had a history of interacting with politicians, and therefore he possesses precisely those qualities we need: people who can be trusted to deal with their responsibilities without fear or favor, not based on previous political affiliation or not based on personal friendship or being in-law to anyone. I think on his merit, Mr. President, I rise to support what my brother, distinguished Senator Monday Akpakamiza, I just said. I believe the gentleman has what it takes to function as an officer, as a rec in the Independent National Electoral Commission. For me, these are the kind of persons we need. They don't need anybody to help them to do their job. I therefore appeal to my colleagues, distinguished senators, to please, in line with the way in which others have been treated, to extend the same courtesies to the young man who is standing before us. Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, thank you for the honorary doctorate degree, which I will celebrate later in the evening.
Senator Neda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Neda Imaso, Edo South Senatorial District. The nominee before us has been espoused by my two colleagues from Edo State. is our candidate, and we are very grateful to His Excellency, Mr. President, for nominating him. We are also very sure that he's a candidate that will do us proud and will do his job excellently to the beauty of all of us here in this hallowed chamber. So I call on our colleagues to please accord him also the privilege of that others before him have enjoyed, that he will take a walk under the permission of our president so that he can have the time to go prepare for this very difficult job assignment before him. We know he has the capacity, we know he has the ability, we know he has the experience to do well as a resident electoral commissioner. So we urge our colleagues to please support his nomination. Thank you, Mr. President.
The last person, distinguished Senator Opeyemi Bamidele. Then after that, we close.
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I appreciate the opportunity and privilege to also be a part of the strengthening of the recommendation of our colleagues with respect to this nominee who is standing before us. And I must thank Mr. President for also recognizing me from the faraway distance where I was busy delivering your message to your predecessor, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Ahmad Lawa. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the nominee standing before us is no doubt a gentleman of gentlemen. And there's no doubting the fact that, also given his own pedigree, as someone who has had the opportunity of serving in public service without messing up his integrity and without also destroying the integrity for which Edo people are known, and without also destroying the faith of patriots like His Excellency Distinguished Senator Adams Oshiomhole, making it possible for them to walk tall. I just want to say that I'm happy to add my voice to those of our distinguished colleagues who have spoken here by saying that this nominee is a fit and proper person to be confirmed by this hallowed chamber as a resident electoral commission. And I have no doubt that he will do so more to enhance the integrity of our electoral process. I thank you once again, Mr. President, sitting as chair, and I also most respectfully request that he be allowed to take a bow and go. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Nominee, you have any other thing to say to the Senate? Nothing. Okay, so you can take a bow. To the Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished senators, while we are still sitting as committee of the whole, may I most respectfully move that we also revisit the second order of the day, which is the confirmation of the first order of the day, which is the confirmation of the Auditor General nominee by this Hallowed Chamber, which was stood down for us to be able to take the second order of the day as the CV of the Auditor General nominee were just being photocopied. I move that we go into that now and take him so that we can do all the confirmation hearing together. I so move.
Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to second the motion ably moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the first order of the day earlier stood down be taken alongside the screening of these INEC nominees. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nominee for the Office of Auditor General of the Federation can take the stage. Mr. Shaga Shira, yes, welcome to the Hallowed Chamber of the Senate. Proceed to give us a summarized version of yourself, your resume, and particularly anything that is not contained in the resume before us, and then be very brief, and thereafter answer questions from distinguished senators.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, Your Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, principal officers of the Senate, distinguished senators, permit me to recognize my senator, distinguished Senator David Jinkuta, distinguished Senator Haruna Manu, distinguished Senator Isalam, and my lecturer, distinguished Senator Abba Maro, who taught me JS 107 in school. My name is Shaka Kangito Chira. I'm a nominee by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for the post of Auditor General for the Federation. I'm from Taraba State, born on the 12th of February 1968. I hold a master's degree in public sector accounting in Nassau State University. A fellow of National Accountant of Nigeria, I rose to the post of Director of Audit in the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. Further details of about me is contained in my CV.
Distinguished Senator Jimmy Kuta.
Thank you, Mr. President. sitting as the chair of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the nominee standing before you here is from my constituents. And I want to seize this opportunity again to thank Mr. President for nominating one of us again. Mr. President, when you look at his appointment, when they announced it, they said the overall best when they conducted interview and exam, the overall best. And he merited this position. Is the best, among the best. So, and myself, and my other colleague from Taraba, the two senators, Manu and Lau, we agree to support his nomination some weeks ago. And I will plead with this Hello Chamber to extend the gesture or the treatment given to other nominee for confirmation today for him to take the leave of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawan, SP Emeritus.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President, sitting as chair. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Ahmed Lawan. I represent Yobe North Senatorial District. Let me start by congratulating our nominee for this nomination, and it's a clear testimony to the confidence that Mr. President has on you to serve as the Auditor General for the Federation if you are screened, approved, and confirmed by the Senate. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I served in this Senate as Chairman, Senate Public Accounts Committee for 8 years, between 2007 and 2015. And we went through serious agitation for improving on the capacity of the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation, on infrastructural development particularly, and human resource development. As of today, I think you are in the Audit House, right? The Audit House, I still see it as a transitional headquarters of the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. There was a time, and I'm not sure if that is still the situation, when most of your staff were posted and were serving within the departments, the MDS, that they were supposed to actually oversight and audit. Some would be there for 4 years or even more. I don't know whether your new headquarters had taken up the entire audit staff from the various MDS back to the Audit House. If that is not the case, we still have the challenge of ensuring that we have a befitting office environment for the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. Mr. Chairman, this office is undermined or has been undermined by the executive for a long time. I'm sorry, I'm speaking like a parliamentarian now. There was no love lost between the Office of the Auditor General and the executive arm of government, because his reports come to us directly. And therefore, some people would not like him to be efficient and effective. Hence, his environment where he operates for a long time, probably up to this time, has not been that convenient, that comfortable environment where he can work, produce the kind of document that we need to work with. The Accountant General has a mighty, massive building. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, if you are fighting corruption, this is the first institution of government that you should arm. This is the first and probably the only institution of government that is in the Constitution to ensure transparency, probity, prudence, and efficiency. So I believe that we need to look into that, particularly the committee, if they don't have the very good working environment, we should make sure that we improve on that. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, the audit bill. We need the audit bill to be passed and assented to by Mr. President, where the Auditor General's office will be entirely responsible for recruitment, for promotions, for discipline, etc. That, of course, will enable that office to have better staff, more motivated staff. And I believe that this is one bill that this 10th National Assembly must pass. We have made efforts right from the 6th Assembly, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, but it has not seen the light of the day. We must make conscious and concerted efforts to ensure that we pass that bill, and I have no doubt that Mr. President is an accountant, is a financially minded person. He knows the value of getting an efficient and effective office of the Auditor General for the Federation. With this, I want to congratulate you in advance that when you are confirmed, you will work tirelessly with our committees, both in the House and the Senate. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the privilege.
Thank you, very distinguished brother, for your contribution. I just want to align myself with what you said. The first part of fighting corruption at the federal level starts from there. And if the place is not well equipped and the environment is not convenient, then the output, which comes directly to the National Assembly, will not be the best. So we will support the office, we will look at the bill, and I hope my colleagues will see the need to come together to pass that bill so that we can have an act that will make them independent in terms of recruitment, in terms of promotions, in terms of funding, and then also completing their head office to ensure that they serve the nation better. Senator Warada.
Distinguished Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu Sarkin Yakin Kefi, representing Nasarawa West Senatorial District. Mr. President, sitting as chair, I would like to first of all commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for being swiftly responsive to the calls of the Senate. Of course, it is well known that from the takeoff of this 10th Senate, the Senate via the Senate Public Accounts Committee had severally called on the President to appoint a substantive Auditor General for the Federation, because that is what will really lead us to unveiling or revealing or otherwise issues that have got to do with accountability and transparency in public expenditure. And the president has done it. And has done it in such a way, a manner that is credible. Because the nominee before us sat for exams, and he came first. After the exams, sat for interview, still came first. And so he was fully, credibly recommended by the committee, the various committees, or the two committees that supervised the exams and the interview. And that is what the president has done. So that is on the side of the president vis-a-vis the appointment, the nomination of the Auditor General. For the Auditor General, having said that he passed exams and interview, that may not be good enough, or that may not be enough for him to do as expected. Mr. Nominee, you've heard what our colleague and former Senate President, Senator Ahmed Lawal, a veteran legislator, what he said. And what he said is apt. And if we are really committed to doing the needful as far as audit is concerned, of course, the president, as I said, since he is that responsive, he will quickly, by the grace of God, assent to the audit bill. But it is one thing to assent to the audit bill, and another thing for him that is at the helm of affairs of audit to really ensure compliance and execution of every bit of the bill, provisions of the bill. So that is, that will be much more to do with you, and we will not expect anything short of that. The Committee on Public Accounts is ready, able, willing to do the needful as at when due. Once more, let me congratulate you, and I urge my colleagues to allow the nominee possibly to take a bow and go, especially that he should have ideally been screened by the committee, not committee of the whole. But you are lucky to be taken by the committee of the whole. Is an honor done to you, as far as I'm concerned. I so submit, Mr. President.
Tomorrow we are going to formally inaugurate all the committees here so that you can take up fully. That was why I gave you the opportunity to say something, because his report will enrich the work of the Public Accounts Committee. That's why I said you should say something. So even if you were screening him, I'm sure you would not be talking much about the president. You would have asked him questions on his capacity and capabilities. But we have already attested to the fact that he has gone through 2 levels. The first level was writing examination. The second level was going ahead with the oral interviews. Also, he has gone through various screenings before coming here. So it is right that the Committee of the Whole received that report from you as the chairman of Public Accounts. Am I right? So you are in agreement that you have no issues with his integrity and capacity to work. So there's nothing to add for that. Senator Abbas, is there anything to add? Nothing.
President, Senator Aminu Abbas, Adamawa Central. Nothing more to add, Mr. President, but just to concur with...
Who is the man? I hope you understand. That's why I called him and said, stop.
Okay, that person. All right, so this is our meeting. What time?
In the night.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speakers. And then to just, Mr. President, for our own benefit and the benefit of the Senate, to help the Office of General to work for Nigeria to try and find out what are the basic needs in conjunction to what Senator Ahmed Lawan has said, that the office of the Auditor General of the Federation will want this Senate to do for him to perform effectively. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Nominee, if you have anything to say to the Senate, you do. Otherwise, your resume is fantastic.
Thank the Senate for knowing what the office is required more than people. Because I'm early with a constitutional committee, that is the Public Accounts Committee, as the first speaker was saying, that he has been the chairman of Public Accounts Committee for a very long time. So he knows the problem of the office very well. But the major problem of Auditor General's office is funding. If you look at 2023 budget, an office such as the Office of Auditor General for the Federation has a capital budget of 62 million. 62 million. What do you expect us to do? Capital budget of 62 million.
Distinguished colleagues, the nominee for the Office of Auditor General of the Federation is saying that the first major constraint that that office has is funding, and that in the last budget, Deputy Senate President, DSP, Deputy Senate President, he said the last budget that what was allocated for the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation was 62 million naira only, which could not buy papers, could not do anything. So we should take notes, because if we don't fund the office well, then he will not be able to do his first oversight function. I don't know whether you have anything to say.
Let me add, you see, the problem that office normally faces in the budgetary process normally emanates from the executive arm of government. The executive arm of government, so they were not providing money for them. They were not providing money for them. So if there's any intervention, that should come from here. But I'm sure, because of the posture of the current administration, I'm sure something substantial could have been made, could have been provided for them will be provided for them in the 2024 budget. But the normal problem they always have was that they were not trying to fund them. I didn't know why. They were not providing fund for them. I think, am I correct? They don't provide money for them. You can imagine 64 billion naira to that office by the executive government. So I don't know, probably they didn't want them to function very well at that, in the past. That is what I don't know. So since we have resolved, then, but I'm sure there will be a change this time around. If there's no change, then of course we have to intervene here to provide money for them.
Well, this is a corrective regime, and the president was himself senator, and he knows the importance of that office. A lot of the revelations that he may not be privy to will come from the Office of the Auditor General, which will benefit his administration and also benefit Nigerians. So definitely I think, Senator Nengi, that the Senate and the National Assembly, we have a responsibility to keep that office alive for the purpose of transparency, purpose of fighting corruption, and purpose of giving confidence to the electorate that yes, indeed, the finances that belong to them are well utilized. Yes. Huh? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Shaga K. Chira for appointment as Auditor General for the Federation? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of the Auditor General of the Federation in the person of Mr. Shaga K. Chira is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nominations? Will the Senate approve the nominations of the following persons as resident electoral commissioners in accordance with the provisions of Section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as selected and sent to us by Mr. President? Mr. Etekemba Omoren from Akwa Ibom State as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Those in favor of the approval say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Etekemba Omoren as Resident Electoral Commissioner from Akwa Ibom State is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Isa Shaga Ehimekena from Edo State for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Isa Shaga Ehime Agna from Edo State is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Barrister Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola from Ekiti State for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner of Mr. Abubakar Ahmed Mahaji for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Abubakar Ahmed Mahaji from Gombe State as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Shehu Wahab from Kwara State for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Shehu Wahab from Kwara State as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Aminu Kashimi Idris from Nasarawa State for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Aminu Kashimi Idris from Nasarawa State is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq from Niger State for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq from Niger State as Resident Electoral Commissioner is hereby approved. Senate Leader.
Mr. Senate President, sitting as chair, very, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I stand to move that the Senate do resolve back to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished colleagues, I stand to support the motion that the House resolve back to plenary for the chair to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate will now revert to plenary. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation of Nigeria for the confirmation of Mr. Shaga Achira for appointment as Auditor General for the Federation, and also considered the nominations of various candidates for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioners. The nominee for the office of the Auditor General of the Federation, Mr. Shaga Achira, answered questions on auditing and other topical issues, and thereafter the Senate approved the nomination of Mr. Shaga Achira as Auditor General for the Federation. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate also in the Committee of the Whole considered the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of some nominees for appointment as resident electoral commissioners, RECs, for the Independent National Electoral Commission. The nominees answered questions on electoral matters and other topical issues, and thereafter the Senate approved the nominations of Mr. Echekamba Omoren, Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Isa Shaga Hime Agne, Edo State, Barrister Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, Ekiti State, Mr. Abubakar Ahmed Maji, Gombe State, Mr. Shehu Wahab, Kwara State, Mr. Aminu Kasimi Idris, Nasarawa State, Mr. Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq, Niger State, as resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate now confirm the nomination of Mr. Echekamba Omoren from Akwa Ibom State for appointment as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Echekamba Omoren from Akwa Ibom State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Isa Shaga Ehime Kakna from Edo State for appointment as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Isa Shaga Ehime Agna from Edo State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Barrister Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola from Ekiti State for appointment as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Barrister Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola from Ekiti State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Abubakar Ahmed Maji from Gombe State for appointment as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Abubakar Ahmed Maji from Gombe State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Shehu Wahab from Kwara State for appointment as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Shehu Wahab from Kwara State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Aminu Kashmi Idris from Nasarawa State for appointment as resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Aminu Kasimi Idris from Nasarawa State is hereby confirmed as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq from Niger State for appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner REC for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq from Niger State is hereby confirmed as Resident Electoral Commissioner REC for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. So let me use this opportunity to thank all the appointees for the Independent National Electoral Commission as RECs, and then also use this opportunity to put the question on the confirmation of Mr. Shira. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Shaka Shira as Auditor General for the Federation of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Mr. Shaka K. Shira as Auditor General for the Federation of Nigeria is hereby confirmed. I want to thank all distinguished senators for your patience, for your dedication, and your patriotic zeal. Above all, I want to thank Mr. President, who has been variously commended by members of this Hallowed Chamber for the quality of nominees that we have seen, both for the office of the Auditor General, for the Federation, as well as resident electoral commissioners to fill the vacancies already created. I congratulate all of them on behalf of this Hallowed Chamber. I wish them well and pray that Almighty God will guide them in their dealings so that they will bring justice to bear in the discharge of their various functions for the benefit of Nigerians yet unborn. Leader of the Senate. No.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, distinguished senators. Mr. President, in view of the various legislative activities slated for this afternoon, and especially the need for our committees on appropriation, as well as other committees that are working on the supplementary budget, to have enough time to attend to this matter of urgent national importance, I stand to move that we stand down the other businesses and orders on our order paper for today so that we can attend to them on another legislative date and to allow members, distinguished senators, to go and attend to other committee assignments. Mr. President, I so move.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. distinguished colleagues, I stand to second the motion that we stand down other assignment on the other paper for today till the next legislative day. Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved by the Senate leader and seconded by the minority leader that we stand down the other items on the other paper for the day in view of various committee assignments, particularly that of appropriation, to another legislative date. Those who are in favor of this motion say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. And therefore, having exhausted all the items on the other paper, this Senate stands adjourned to Thursday, the 2nd day of November 2023 at 11 a.m. prompt.